Hi, good morning and welcome to our meditation. Today is the 27th of February and I'm back at our meditations here in our channel. This channel that it belongs to the Baptist Church here in the Basque Country. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 5, we're going to find the word righteousness here. If he did not spare the ancient world when he brought the flood on its ungodly people, but protected Noah, a preacher of righteousness, and 7 others from Noah's family. This text that talks about righteousness and presents Noah as a preacher, meaning a person who went before a king, before an authority, to proclaim what that person, that king, that authority was going to say, or even to proclaim that that person was coming into a place, a town, a village. Noah is considered here as a person like that, who preaches righteousness. We don't know exactly what he was preaching, but we know that even the fact that he was building an ark, that was saying that there's going to be a flood, that's proclaiming righteousness, because this text of 2 Peter talk about judgment. As we read in chapter 1 verse 1, it says, "But there were also false prophets among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you. They will secretly introduce destructive heresies, even denying the sovereign Lord who bought them, bringing swift destruction on themselves. Many will follow their ways, their conduct, and will bring the way of truth into disrepute. In their greed, these teachers will exploit you with fabricated stories. Their condemnation has long been hanging over them, and their destruction has not been sleeping." And then he's going to talk about God's judgment. He's going to mention God's judgment on angels, God's judgment on Noah's time, on people who lived in Noah's time, and then God's judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah. So this is not a very easy text to meditate on one day before my birthday. But it is interesting when you read the history of humankind, and even when you watch the BBC or CNN or whatever channel you watch now, you're just going to see what Peter is talking about here. There is a lot of evil in this world. But the message here is that there's going to be a judgment as well. Listen to the description of people of his age by Peter in 2 Peter chapter 2 verses 17 to 19. "These people are springs without water and mists driven by a storm. Blackest darkness is reserved for them. For they mouth empty boastful words, and by appearing to the lustful desires of the flesh, they entice people who are just escaping from those who live in error. They promise them freedom while they themselves are slaves of depravity. For people are slaves to whatever has mastered them." People are announcing freedom, but they are slaves themselves. I was thinking the other day, isn't it a blessing that as humans, we don't live forever? Because can you imagine that evil person that is governing your nation, your country? If that person lives forever, sacrin, as we say in French. Fortunately, we don't stay here forever, because this planet would be completely covered in darkness. There is judgment here, but there is also righteousness, God's righteousness. We cannot give what we haven't got. If you are springs without water, that's what we are going to give. That's the problem here in 2 Peter, is that there are too many people. Peter is talking about those judgments because there were too many people who were like springs without water. And they gave what they had in their hearts, because people are slaves to whatever has mastered them. And that's what they were teaching. That's what they were giving. He started talking about false prophets. But then he talks about the evil that is actually all over the world, in the nations, like Sodom and Gomorrah. So, you see, God has given us his righteousness in Christ. As Paul says, Christ has become for us God's righteousness. So if we're filled with God's righteousness, we're not going to be springs without water, are we? God bless you.